out in the cold, dark space beyond the galaxy's edge. Far from warm suns and singing stars, floated a prison no one remembered. It was built inside a dead asteroid, shaped like a cracked skull, spinning slowly around a black, burned-out star. No light came from it, no sound, no hope. This was Penal Satellite Zero, a place for those the galaxy wanted to forget. Inside, 10,000 humans lived in silence. They weren't here for murder, not for stealing or war. They were here because they cared too much, because they refused to leave Earth when the end came, because they fought, cried, prayed, and stayed while the rest of the galaxy called it smart to run. The aliens called them emotional, irrational, dangerous, so they locked them away. No trial, no warning, just ships, stun beams, and a one-way trip to the edge of nothing. Now, they lived in gray halls with flickering lights. The air was thin and always smelled like metal and sweat. Food came in gray cubes. Water was recycled so many times it tasted like sadness. Sleep was short. Dreams were long. But still, they lived. They walked the halls with quiet steps. They sat together in the mess, not speaking, just being. Some drew pictures on the walls, trees, oceans, children laughing. Guards wiped them clean every day. But the next night, new ones appeared. Always the same. Earth, green, alive. One man stood apart. Kale, Rook, tall, with deep lines on his face and eyes that never rested. Once, he had stood on the last hill of London, watching the sky turn red as the cities turned to glass. He had shouted orders as the world died. Now, he said little, but when he spoke, others listened. Near him was Dr. Lyra Chen, a woman with tired eyes and sharp hands. She had studied the silent plague, invisible storm that turned life to crystal. She believed Earth wasn't dead, just sleeping. The concordants laughed. No world comes back from that, they said. So they took her lab, her notes, her freedom. Then there was Teo, a boy who never spoke. He watched everything, remembered everything. With broken wires and stolen parts, he fixed things no one else could. Comes drones, locks. He didn't need words. His hands told the story. And Sergeant Mara vexed loud, tough, always smiling even when she had no reason to. She had crawled out of a burning ship with half her body burned, stood up, and kept fighting. The medics said she should be dead. She said, "Try again tomorrow." They were broken, scarred, forgotten, but together, they were still human. One night, deep in the lower block, a small light blinked. Teo had built a secret device from broken parts, a signal catcher. It pulled voices from space, lost and broken, mostly static. But tonight, something came through, a voice. Weak, cracked, but real. All units. Earth is not dead. The plague has evolved. It's awake, and it's hunting us. Silence. Then breaths stopped. Hearts beat louder. Lyra stood up fast. That's a concordance signal. From deep space. Kale stepped forward, his voice low. They said Earth was dead, but this says it's alive. Mara clenched her fists. And now they're scared. Teo looked up. He didn't speak. He never did. But he pulled out his slate and wrote in shaky letters. They ran. We stayed. We know how to fight it. Kale stared at the speaker. The voice was gone, but the words stayed in the air, heavy and real. Earth is not dead. Something burned inside him. Not anger, not fear, purpose. He turned to the others. They think we're nothing, just prisoners. No weapons, no ships, no power, just leftover people. Lyra nodded. And that's why we can win, because they won't expect us. Mara grinned, a flash of white in the dim light. Yeah, let them think we're harmless. Let them sleep. Kale looked around at the gray walls, the tired faces, the quiet fire in their eyes. We didn't leave Earth, he said. Not in here. He touched his chest. We carry it with us. And if it's calling, we have to answer. No one clapped. No cheers. But something changed. The air felt different, lighter, like the silence wasn't empty anymore. It was waiting. Outside, the dead star pulsed once soft, slow like a heartbeat in the dark, and far away, beneath glass and dust, deep, under the frozen cities, a single green shoot pushed through the soil, tiny, weak, but alive. Life, not gone, just patient. They thought Earth's prisoners were harmless. No weapons, no tech, no fleet. Just broken people in a forgotten rock. But they didn't understand. They didn't know what love could do. They didn't know what 10,000 hearts, full of memory and pain and refusal to give up, could become. They didn't know that the most dangerous thing in the universe isn't a weapon or a warship. It's a people who still believe in home. And soon, very soon, the doors would open. The message hung in the air like smoke, thin but impossible to ignore. Earth is not dead. It played again in their minds, over and over. Not just words, a feeling, like a hand reaching through years of silence and pulling them back to life. But hope is dangerous in a prison. In the vault, hope had broken people before, made them dream, made them try, made them fall. Cale knew this. He had seen men go mad, whispering names of lost cities. Women crying over photos of children they'd never see again. The vault didn't just lock up bodies. It wore down souls. But this time was different. This wasn't just memory. This was a call. He stood in the dim light of Block 7, surrounded by the quiet ones, the ones who still listened, still believed. Lyra sat on a broken bench, eyes sharp, already thinking. Mara leaned against the wall, arms crossed, jaw tight. Teo sat on the floor, fingers moving fast over his slate, pulling data from the old signal. We need proof, Lyra said. That message could be fake, a trap. The concordance tests us all the time. Cale nodded. Then we find the truth ourselves. Mara raised an eyebrow. How? We've got no ship, no comms, no power. We can't even open a door without a guard. Teo looked up. He tapped his slate. Words appeared. We have the drones. Lyra frowned. The repair drones. They're automated. Simple. Can't be controlled from inside. Teo smiled just a little. Then he pulled a small black box from his boot. Wires stuck out. A blinking light pulsed like a heartbeat. Lyra's eyes widened. You hacked. A command relay? Teo nodded. Mara let out a low whistle. Kid, you're dangerous. Cale felt something he hadn't in years. Not hope. Pride. We can use the drones, he said. Send one to the outer comms array. Pull real data from deep space. If Earth is really alive, we'll see it. But it wouldn't be easy. The drones were watched, every move logged. The prison's AI Orla was bored, sarcastic, but sharp. It knew every trick, every failed escape. And the guards the Carol were always watching. Tall, with hard black shells and eyes like glass. They moved in silence. Never tired. Never blinked. One mistake, and the chance would be gone. So they waited. They planned. Worked at night, hiding in maintenance tunnels, rewiring the drone with stolen parts. Lyra studied the guard shifts, the camera blind spots, the rhythm of the prison. Mara trained small groups how to move without sound, how to distract, how to hold still when fear screamed in the blood. Cale did something harder. He talked. He walked the blocks, not as a leader, but as a man. He asked names, listened to stories, shared his own. I stood on the last bridge of New York, he said one night in the mess. Water turned to glass. Sky turned red. I thought that was the end. A young woman whispered, "Why didn't you leave?" He looked at her, because someone had to remember. Slowly, quietly. Something grew. Not a plan, a movement. Then came the storm. Not in the sky, there was no sky here, but in the asteroid's outer shell. A fake solar flare programmed into the prison's system to test shield stability. Lights dimmed. Alarms rang. Guards moved to stations. Now. TEYO sent the signal. One drone, small gray, unnoticed, woke up. It floated down empty halls, past sleeping cells, past guard posts. It's red, I scanned, but saw only what it was supposed to see, routine maintenance. It reached the outer hall, connected, and for 12 seconds, it opened a window to the stars. Data poured in. Images, signals, frequencies, and then dash Earth. Not dead, not silenta. Weak, but steady pulse like a heartbeat under snow coming from the planet's core, and something else, a pattern, not random, not noise, a signal. Lyra's hands shook as she pulled it up on her hidden screen. It's using old Earth frequencies, she whispered. Like radio, like a call. Mara leaned in. Who's calling? Lyra looked at Kale. Not. Who? What? The plague, Kale said. It's not just moving. It's sending something. Teo typed fast. It's learning. It saw us fight. It saw us stay. Maybe. It's trying to talk. Silence. Then Lyra laughed. A soft, broken sound. We called it a killer. A curse. But what if it wasn't trying to destroy Earth? Kale stared at the image of the blue-green dot, half buried in glass. What if, he said slowly, it was trying to save it? The room felt smaller, heavier. They had been the protectors of a dead world. But what if the world wasn't dead? What if it was waiting for them? Mara stood up. Then we don't stay in this rock. Lyra nodded. We go home. Teo looked at the drone's final image, a single green pixel, deep under the frozen surface. Life, not gone, just hiding. Kale took a breath. He walked to the center of the room, looked at every face, every tired, scarred, unbroken face. They think we're harmless, he said. They think we have nothing, no power, no tech, no future. His voice grew stronger. But we have something they'll never understand. What? Someone asked. Kale smiled just a little. We have memory, we have love, and we have 10,000 reasons to go back. No cheers, no shouts, but in that moment, every heart beat a little faster, because they all felt it. The spark small, quiet, but bright enough to light the way through the plan was madness. No weapons, no ships, no help from outside. Just broken people in a broken prison, trying to do the impossible. But they had something the galaxy didn't understand. They had time, and they had each other. After the drone's message, everything changed. The air in the vault felt different, thicker, charged, like before a storm. Eyes that once looked down, now looked up. Shoulders that had slumped for years now stood straight. They weren't just surviving. They were preparing. TEYO worked every night in the dark tunnels behind the walls, with stolen wires, broken circuits, and pieces of old machines. He built something new, a small control box that could speak to the prison's drones. Not just one, all of them. Lyra studied the prison's air system. It was old, Earth-made, based on a design from the 21st century. She remembered the blueprints. If we overload the filters, she told Kale, we can create a fake virus scare. The Carol are sensitive to microbes. They'll panic, pull back. Mara trained small teams how to move in silence, how to distract guards, how to stay calm when fear screamed in the blood. No heroes, she said. No rushing. We win by being smart, by being quiet. And Kale, he kept the fire alive. He walked the blocks, not with orders, but with stories. He told them of Earth's last sunrise, golden, warm, shining on frozen rivers. He told them of children singing in bunkers while the sky cracked above. He told them of the woman who planted a tree in the ruins of Paris, knowing she'd never see it grow. We didn't leave, he said. and Earth didn't leave us. Slowly, quietly, the prison began to change. Not the walls, not the lights, the people. One night, during a routine power cycle, Teo sent a silent command. All 47 repair drones in Block 4 woke up. They didn't move fast, didn't rush. They floated through the halls like ghosts, doing their normal jobs, fixing lights, checking pipes. But now, they were theirs. One drone slipped into the guard locker, dropped a tiny sensor into a Carol helmet. Another entered the control hub, took a snapshot of the security codes. A third crawled into the old comms room and rewired a dead antenna. They weren't breaking the rules, they were using them. Then came the test. Lyra triggered the fake virus. She released a harmless spore grown from old Earth mold into the air system. It looked dangerous on scans. Smelled worse. Alarms rang. Red lights flashed. ORLO's voice boomed. Biocontamination detected. Level 3 quarantine protocol initiated. The Carol reacted fast. Helmets sealed. Guards pulled back. Hallways emptied. For 23 minutes, the humans were alone, and they moved. Teams slipped through side tunnels. Mara's group disabled 3 cameras. Teo hacked into the drone command hub. Lyra uploaded a fake maintenance log to fool Orlo, and Kale stood at the edge of the main control room, watching. His heart beat slow, calm. Not because he wasn't afraid, but because he trusted them. When the Corel returned, everything looked normal. But something was different. The prison's heart, the central control system, now had a back door, and it was open. That night, in the deepest block, they met again. No lights, just the glow of Teo's slate. "We can open the doors," he typed, "but only for 9 seconds. After that, Orlo will notice. The Carol will come." Mara crossed her arms. 9 seconds. That's nothing. Lyra shook her head. "It's enough, if we're ready." Kale looked around, at the faces, the tired eyes, the scars, the fire. "We've been ready," he said, "since the day they took our home. They didn't need a fleet. They didn't need weapons. They just needed one chance." The next day, during a fake drill, solar storm simulation, Teo sent the command. The main doors of Block 7 hissed, then opened. Not wide, not for long, but open. And 10,000 humans stepped forward. Not running, not screaming, walking together. Some held hands, some carried the weak, some carried memories. Guards turned, raised weapons, but Mara stepped forward. She didn't fight, she spoke. "We are not escaping," she said, loud and clear. "We are going home." The Carol hesitated, and in that second Teo hit the signal. All the drones dropped their tools and turned. They formed a wall gray, silent, moving between the humans and the guards. ORLO's voice crackled. "System error. Drones offline." Repeat. Then silence. The path was clear. They walked. No one stopped them, not because they were strong, but because they were unstoppable. Behind them, the prison lights flickered, and far away, on a dead world, wrapped in glass, something deep beneath the soil pulsed, like a heart, like a promise. They thought Earth's prisoners were harmless, but they forgot one thing. You can lock up a body, you can erase a city, you can silence a world, but you can't kill memory, you can't kill love, and you can never, ever underestimate 10,000 people who still remember how to care. The doors had opened, and now they were coming home. The vault was behind them, but freedom was not yet home. Outside, the cold black of space stretched in every direction. Stars blinked, distant and silent. The dead sun pulsed weakly, casting long shadows across the asteroid's cracked surface. And there, half buried in rust and dust, sat a ship that hadn't moved in decades. It was called the Mender. Once, it had been a Concordance salvage vessel built to pull broken ships from deep space. Now, it was a tomb of metal and forgotten dreams. Hull cracked. Engines cold. Wings bent like broken wings of a bird. Most thought it was junk, but Cale looked at it and saw something else. Hope it's not much, Mara said, kicking a loose pipe. No weapons, no warp drive. Probably doesn't even have working toilets. Lyra ran her hand over the side. But it's Earth-designed, old fusion core, manual override systems. If we can get the power running, it can fly. Teo was already inside. He moved through the dark halls, flashlight in hand, checking wires, panels, fuel lines. His fingers danced over broken consoles. After an hour, he came back, slate in hand. Engines, weak, but alive. Power cells empty. Life support damaged. Needs repair. Mara groaned. So we stole our freedom, just to die in a flying trash. Ken Cale smiled. Better than dying in a prison. They got to work, no tools, no help, no time. But they had hands, hearts, and a reason. Teo. And Lyra rewired the core, using parts from the prison's drones. They spliced cables, rebuilt circuits, and jury-rigged a power link from the asteroid's old mining grid. Sparks flew. Warnings flashed. Once, the whole ship shook like it would fall apart. But it held. Mara led teams to patch the hull. They used metal from the prison walls, welded together with stolen cutters. They sealed the cracks, fixed the air tanks, even got the lights, working flickering yellow, but on. And Cale. He kept them going. When hands grew tired, he told stories. When hope slipped, he reminded them. When someone cried, he stood beside them in silence. We're not just fixing a ship, he said one night, standing on the cracked landing pad. We're fixing a promise. Lyra looked up from her work. What promise? That we'd come back. Days passed. No sleep, no rest, just work. Pain, faith, then a sound. Deep in the ship's belly, the fusion core clicked, then hummed, then roared. The lights flared. The floor vibrated. Alarms woke up, screaming in old Earth English. Engine, online. Systems activating. Teo jumped back, wide-eyed. Mara laughed. It's alive. They crowded around the bridge. Dusty, broken, but whole. Cale sat in the pilot's chair. It creaked under him. The screen flickered, then showed stars. Real stars, not prison holograms. Freedom. Lyra checked the nav system. We need coordinates. Earth's signal is weak. We'll have to fly blind most of the way. Teo typed. I have old maps. From Earth's last satellites. I can guide us. Mara strapped in. Then let's go. Cale took a breath. He looked at them, all of them. The tired, the scarred, the ones who had lost everything, but still stood. This isn't just a ship, he said over the comms. This is our voice. Our answer to the galaxy. We are not trash. We are not forgotten. We are human. He pressed the launch button. The engine screamed. Metal groaned, and slowly, like a bird learning to fly again, the mender rose from the asteroid. It didn't move fast. It didn't shine. It didn't look like a hero, but it was flying. Behind them, the vault sat dark and silent. Ahead dashed space, stars, and one pale blue dot, hidden in the dark. Earth. They had no weapons, no army, no backup, but they had something stronger. They had each other. As the ship climbed into the sky, something strange happened. One by one, the prisoners began to sing. Not a loud song, not a war chant, a soft one, an old Earth lullaby. Hush now, don't you cry, the stars will light the sky. Home is not too far, we're riding on a star. Voices joined, weak at first, then, stronger. Lyra sang. Mara sang. Even Teo hummed, eyes closed. Cale didn't sing. He watched the stars, and for the first time in years, he smiled. The mender wasn't fast, it wasn't strong, it wasn't built for war, but it was built for love. And love finds a way, even across the dark, even when the galaxy says no, even when the world says, you're too late. They were coming, not as soldiers, not as conquerors, as the ones who never gave up, and far away. Beneath glass and silence, the pulse. Beneath Earth's skin beat a little faster, like it knew, like it was waiting, they thought. Earth's prisoners were harmless, but they forgot a ship built by broken hands, flying on hope and memory, carrying 10,000 hearts that still beat for home. That's not a junk heap. That's a warning. Don't underestimate the ones who still remember how to care. The journey took weeks. No warp drive. No fast lanes through space. Just the slow, steady push of the Mender's tired engines, crawling across the dark like a child walking home barefoot. Inside the ship, time stretched. Some slept, some stared at the stars. Some whispered names of lost cities. Paris, Tokyo, Nairobi, Sydney. Places that once buzzed with life, now silent under glass. But no one regretted coming, because every day Earth's signal grew stronger. Not loud, not clear, but there, a pulse, soft, steady, like a heartbeat under snow. Teo sat at the nav station every hour, eyes sharp, fingers tracing star paths only he could read. He didn't speak, but his hands never stopped working, adjusting course, fixing errors, keeping them on track. Lyra studied the data. The signal isn't random, she said one morning, voice low with wonder. It's repeating, in patterns, like language. Mara leaned over her shoulder. You saying the plague is talking? Not talking, Lyra said. Calling. It's using old Earth frequencies. Radio waves, like a beacon. Kale stood at the front, hands on the cracked window. It's not just alive, he said quietly. It's waiting. And then after 27 days of silence and stars, Earth appeared, not as a memory, not as a dream, but real. A blue-green, in the black. But something was wrong. Oceans shimmered like broken mirrors. Forests stood frozen in crystal. Cities were silent, turned to glass towers, glittering under a pale sun. No movement, no light, no life. Mara crossed her arms. Looks dead to me. Lyra shook her head. No, look deeper. She pulled up scans, heat, sound, energy, ender. Beneath the surface, hidden under miles of frozen ground. Something pulsed. A network, like veins, like nerves, like a brain. The plague didn't kill Earth, Lyra whispered. It protected it. Silence filled the ship. Kale's breath caught. What do you mean? Mara asked. Lyra turned to them, eyes wide with realization. It saw the end coming. The concordance left. Humanity was dying. So the plague changed. It didn't destroy. It preserved. It encased the planet, plants, animals, even human DNA. From ruins like a seed in soil, waiting for the right time. Teo typed fast. It's not a weapon. It's a guardian. Kale stared at the planet below. All this time they had hated the plague, feared it, blamed it for killing their world. But it hadn't killed Earth. It had saved it. And now, it was calling for the ones who never left. It recognized our signal, Lyra said. Our voices, our DNA. It knows we're coming. Mara looked at Kale. So what now? We just land. Before Kale could answer, the ship shook. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed outside. The sky moved. From the glass oceans, thin threads of light rose like roots breaking soil. From the frozen cities, towers of shimmering nanites lifted into the air, forming a web across the sky. The plague was awake, and it was watching. Shields up. Mara yelled. There are no shields. Lyra shouted back. Kale gripped the controls. It's not attacking. Look, the nanites didn't fire, didn't charge. They formed letters, shapes, a message written in light across the sky, in Old English. In a voice that came through the ship's speakers, mechanical, but warm, it spoke. Human DNA confirmed. Authorization, Terra Prime. Welcome. Home. No one moved. No one breathed. Tears ran down Lyra's face. Mara whispered, "It knows us." Kale closed his eyes. All those years in the vault. The pain, the loss, the silence. And now this. Not war, not death. Welcome. He opened the comms. "This is Commander Kale Rook of Earth," he said, voice shaking. We never left. Not really." The sky pulsed. Then, softly, the voice replied, "You stayed in memory. That is enough." The nanites parted. A path opened through the clouds, down to the surface, to a single open field, where glass had cracked, and green grass pushed through. A landing zone. A gift. Teo looked at the others, eyes wide. Mara laughed aloud, wild sound. "They thought we were coming to fight. But we're not here to conquer." Lyra smiled. "We're here to return." Kale took a deep breath. He looked at his people, his family, the ones who had walked out of prison, flown a broken ship, crossed the dark, just to come home. "We are not conquerors," he said. "We are not soldiers. We are not even strong." He turned the ship toward the light. "We are just the ones who came back." And slowly, gently, the Mender began its descent. No weapons fired. No weapons fired. No fear. Just a ship, a people, and a planet that had waited below. In the soil, a flower bloomed white, fragile, perfect, and deep in the earth. A billion tiny machines, HUMMED. Not in war, not in anger, but in relief, they thought. Earth's prisoners were harmless, but they didn't know the truth. The strongest force in the universe isn't power. It's love that refuses to die. And now, Earth could breathe again. The Mender touched down gently on the cracked field, its engines hissing like a tired breath. Around it, glass trees stood like frozen ghosts, glittering under a pale sun. The air was still, quiet, but not empty. It felt alive. Kale was the first to step out. His boot pressed into the soil real, soft, warm, not glass, not dust. Life. Behind him, Lyra knelt, touching the ground with shaking hands. "It's breathing," she whispered. "The whole planet, like it's dreaming." Mara stepped out next, scanning the sky. Too quiet. Something's coming. Teo stayed close, slate in hand, eyes on the horizon. Then light. Not from the sun, from space. A silver streak cut across the sky. Then another, and another. Warships. CORDANCE. Design, sleek, silent, deadly. The fleet arrived fast, surrounding Earth in a perfect ring. No warnings, no messages. Just weapons powered up, shields glowing. On the comms, a cold voice echoed across the planet. "This world is under quarantine. All unauthorized personnel must evacuate immediately. The silent plague is classified as Omega-level threat. We are here to neutralize it." Kale didn't move. Lyra looked up, anger in her eyes. "Neutralize? You mean destroy?" Mara clenched her fists. "They ran when Earth needed help. Now they come to kill it." Teo typed fast. "They don't understand. They think it's a monster." Kale stepped forward, opening a channel. "This is Commander Kale Rook. Earth is not a threat. The plague isn't attacking. It's protecting life. It saved what we lost." Silence. Then the voice, again harsh, unfeeling. "Emotional response detected. You are compromised. Prepare for orbital strike in 10 minutes. The line cut. Mara turned to Kale. "They're going to glass the planet." Again, Lyra's voice trembled. "They'll kill everything. The grass, the roots, the memory of Earth." Kale looked at the sky, at the warships, at the people behind him, tired, broken, but standing. "We can't fight them," he said. "We have no weapons, no fleet, no power." Mara spat on the ground. "So we just let them win." Again, Kale shook his head. "No, we don't fight with guns. Then how? Lyra asked. He looked at her, at Teo, at the green shoot pushing through the soil. We fight with truth. He turned to Teo. Can you boost the signal? Send everything we have, our voices, our memories, the plague's message straight to the fleet. Teo nodded. Already typing. Lyra caught on. Not data, emotion, raw, real, the kind they filter out. Exactly, Kale said. They think we're weak because we feel. But that's the only thing they can't block. They worked fast. Lyra pulled old recordings, children laughing, a man singing to his daughter, a scientist crying as she said goodbye to her lab, a soldier whispering, "I'm sorry we couldn't save it." Teo linked the ship's core to the plague's network, turning Earth itself into a transmitter. Mara stood guard, watching the sky. They're powering weapons, she said. 6 minutes. Kale stood in the open, head up. Send it, he said. Teo. Press the button. And Earth spoke, not with words, with feeling. A wave of sound and light exploded from the ground, radiating into space, hitting the fleet like a storm. Inside the warships, screens flickered. Alien soldiers clutched their heads, because what came through wasn't a signal, it was memory. A mother holding her baby, a boy flying a kite in a field, an old couple dancing in the rain, a city alive with music and light, and beneath it, all the pain of loss. The refusal to forget, the love that stayed. The concordance officers staggered. Their logic systems couldn't process it. Their minds weren't built for grief, for hope, for love so strong it hurts. One by one, weapons powered down, but not all. One ship, the lead destroyer, kept firing. A beam of white light shot from its core, aimed straight at Earth's heart. Then the sky moved, from the ground, from the oceans, from the frozen cities. The plague rose, not as a wave of death, as a shield. Billions of nanites shot into the air, forming a glowing dome over the planet. The beam struck a tand, bent, vanishing into light. The fleet froze. On the bridge, Kale watched as the plague didn't attack. It showed. Images flashed in the sky, projected in light for all to see. Earth before the end. Children playing, rivers flowing, people building, laughing, loving. Then the abandonment, the silence, the loneliness, and finally, the humans returning, walking out of prison, flying a broken ship. Coming home. The message was clear. They never forgot, so I waited. I am not your enemy. I am their memory. Silence fell across the fleet. Then one by one, the warships lowered their weapons. The lead ship sent a single message. We did not understand. Kale didn't cheer. He knelt, placed his hand on the soil, and whispered, "We're home." Above, the dome of light shimmered, then slowly faded. But it didn't disappear. It stayed then, soft like a heartbeat in the sky, watching, protecting, remembering. They thought Earth's prisoners were harmless, but they didn't know. They didn't see that love, real, deep, unbroken love, is the most powerful force in the universe. And now, the galaxy would remember, not the war, not the fear, but the truth. Home is not a place, it's a promise. The silence after the fleet left was deeper than space. No engines, no alarms, no voices from the stars. Just wind, soft, warm, carrying the smell of wet soil, and something new, life. The warships were gone. Some had turned away in shame. Others lingered at the edge of orbit, watching, as if afraid to believe what they'd seen. But none fired. None returned. Earth had stood, not with weapons, not with force, but with truth. And the galaxy had listened now. The humans walked, not as soldiers, not as prisoners, as returning children. Kale led them across the broken field, past glass flowers, frozen mid-bloom, toward a hill where the grass grew thickest. Lyra followed, scanning the soil, her eyes wide with wonder. The microbes, they're active. The plague isn't just protecting, it's healing. Mara walked beside her, boots crunching on shattered crystal. Never thought I'd miss the smell of dirt. Teo stayed close, slate in hand, recording every step, every breath, every sign of green dot. They reached the top of the hill, and there, in the center of a cracked circle, stood a single tree. Not glass, not dead, alive, twisted, scarred, one branch broken, but leaves real, green. Trembling in the breeze shook in the sunlight, Lyra fell to her knees. "It's an oak," she whispered, "from Central Park. I studied its DNA. I thought it was gone." Cale placed a hand on the rough bark, warm, beating almost like a heart. "It waited," he said. Mara looked around. "So what now? We just live here, in the ruins." Lyra stood, eyes shining. "Not ruins. Beginning." She pulled a small metal case from her pack. Inside teeny seeds, wrapped in cloth, labeled in shaky handwriting: wheat, Kansas; apple, Vermont; rose, London; preserved, she said, from before the end. "I hid them in my coat when they took me. Never let them go." Teo stepped forward. He opened his own bag, small tools, wires, a broken earth flag, but at the bottom, 2 tiny pots, in them soil and something small, green, pushing up. He pointed to the label, Daisy, New York City. Mara laughed, a real laugh, loud and free. "Kid, you've been growing flowers in a prison." Teo smiled. "Just a little," then nodded. Cale looked at them all. At the seeds, the tree, the sky. "We don't need to rebuild the old world," he said. "We need to grow a new one." And so they began. No machines, no robots, just hands. They dug into the soil, some with tools, some with bare fingers. They planted the seeds, watered them with melted glass, spoke to them like old friends. Lyra set up a small lab in the ship's remains, testing air, water, growth cycles. Mara organized teams guarding building, exploring. Teo connected with the plague's network, learning its patterns, helping it heal faster. And Cale. He walked. Every day. He walked to the ocean, where waves of liquid light lapped at the shore, to the mountains, where forests of glass slowly softened into soil, to the old cities, where streets cracked open and green vines climbed like memories returning. And every night, they gathered around a fire, under the stars, with food grown from the first harvest. They told stories of Earth before, of prison, of the long journey home. And when someone cried, no one looked away, because pain was not weakness here. It was proof. They still cared. One evening, Teo didn't come to the fire. They found him on the hill, sitting under the oak, in his hands a small wooden box. Inside, folded carefully, was a piece of paper, a drawing, a child's hand, crayons, sun grass, a house, a family, written at the bottom, "I hope someone finds this. I miss the rain." Teo didn't speak. He just placed the drawing in the soil, covered it with dirt, and planted a daisy seed on top. Lyra sat beside him. "Where did you find it?" He typed, "Ruins of a school, basement, hundreds more." Mara wiped her eyes. "We'll find them all." Cale looked up. The sky was clear, and for the first time in decades, it rained, soft, warm, falling through the leaves, touching the soil, feeding the seeds. They didn't run for cover. They stood, hands open, faces up, letting the water fall. Because rain wasn't just water, it was earth breathing again. And in that moment, they knew this was not the end, not even the beginning. It was a second chance. They had crossed the stars, fought, silence defied, an empire. All for this. Not for glory, not for revenge, but for this. A seed in the ground, a child's drawing, a single drop of rain, they thought. Earth's prisoners were harmless, but they didn't know the most powerful thing in the universe is not a weapon, not a warship, not even a planet. It's a single act of hope, planted in the dark and watered with love. And now, Now, the world would grow again. One seed, one memory, one heartbeat at a time. The rain changed everything. It wasn't just water falling from the sky. It was proof. Proof the air could hold moisture again. Proof the clouds remembered how to cry. Proof Earth was no longer sleeping. It was waking. In the weeks that followed, green spread like a whisper across the land. Grass crawled through cracks in glass. Vines curled around frozen towers. Tiny flowers, yellow-white, purple, pushed through soil that hadn't seen life in decades. And the people kept planting. Every morning, they walked into the fields with seeds in their pockets and hope in their hands. No machines, no rush. Just slow, steady work. Kneeling, digging, covering, waiting. Lyra set up a real garden, now fenced, protected, full of rows of wheat, carrots, and old earth tomatoes. First real food in 30 years, she said, holding a red tomato like it was gold. Mara taught the children, those born in the vault, who had never seen dirt or felt wind on their skin, how to plant, how to listen to the earth, how to wait. Teo built something new, a small tower from broken metal and glass. At the top, he mounted an old antenna, linked to the plague's network and the mender's core. What is it? Kale asked one evening, watching him work. Teo smiled and typed a voice. Kale didn't understand. Not yet then. One night, the signal went out. Not a distress call, not a warning, not a plea, a song soft at first. A single piano note, played from a recording found in the ruins of Vienna. Then a child's voice, singing an old lullaby. Then laughter, real warm, echoing from a home movie of a birthday party in Nairobi. Layer by layer, the broadcast grew. Voices of the dead, voices of the living, voices of those who had never given up, and beneath it all, Earth's own heartbeat, the pulse of the soil, the rustle of leaves, the sound of rain. The message was simple. We are still here. Life is returning, and we forgive you. Across the galaxy, receivers picked it up. On Sci-Fi Prime, the High Arbiter paused mid-speech, its light flickering. On the Vrilhive's Peach, scientists stopped their work, stunned by the feeling in the signal. On Concordance warships, officers sat in silence, some with tears on their faces, something they had never felt before. They had thought Earth was dead. They had thought humans were weak. They had thought emotion was a flaw. But this was not weakness. This was strength they could not measure, a kind of power that did not destroy but healed. Days later, a reply came, not from the Concordance Council, not from a general or a politician, from a child, a young alien girl, from the floating city of Nexira, whose parents had evacuated Earth long ago. She recorded a message in broken English. I never knew Earth. My parents said it was gone, but I heard your song. I planted a seed in my garden. It's small, but it's green. I named it Hope. More replies came. A carol guard admitted, I watched your prison. I thought you were mad. Now I think you were right. A scientist from Andromeda sent data. We studied your signal. We did not understand grief. Now we are learning. And then the most unexpected message from High Marshal Drain, the same alien who had ordered Earth's destruction. His voice was low, his image shaky. We were wrong. We feared what we did not understand. We called your love weakness, but you crossed the stars with no weapons, no fleet, no help, only each other. And you brought life back from silence. We ask not for forgiveness, but for a chance to learn. Kale played the message under the stars, surrounded by his people. No cheers, no anger, just quiet. Then Lyra spoke. They're not our enemies anymore. Mara nodded. Just late. Teo typed slowly. Now they see. Kale looked at the night sky full of stars, full of worlds, and for the first time, Earth was not just a memory, it was a message. He opened the coms one last time. This is Earth, he said, voice calm, strong. We are not asking for power, not demanding revenge. We are opening our door. if you want to learn how to care for a world, come, we'll show you how to plant a seed, how to wait, how to love. He turned it off, and in the silence that followed, a single bird sang, the first since the end. They thought Earth's prisoners were harmless, but they didn't know that the loudest voice in the universe is not a war cry, not a threat, not a weapon. It's a song of home, sung by those who never stopped believing, and shared with those who finally learned that to care is not weakness, it is the only thing that saves us all. The rain changed everything. It wasn't just water falling from the sky. It was proof. Proof the air could hold moisture again. Proof the clouds remembered how to cry. Proof Earth was no longer sleeping. It was waking. In the weeks that followed, green spread like a whisper across the land. Grass crawled through cracks in glass dot vines, curled around frozen towers. Tiny flowers, yellow-white, purple, pushed through soil that hadn't seen life in decades. And the people kept planting. Every morning, they walked into the fields with seeds in their pockets and hope in their hands. No machines, no rush, just slow, steady work. Kneeling, digging, covering, waiting. Lyra set up a real garden, now fenced, protected, full of rows of wheat, carrots, and old earth tomatoes. First real food in 30 years, she said, holding a red tomato like it was gold. Mara taught the children, those born in the vault, who had never seen dirt or felt wind on their skin, how to plant, how to listen to the earth, how to wait. Teo built something new, a small tower, from broken metal and glass. At the top, he mounted an old antenna, linked to the plague's network and the mender's core. What is it? Kale asked one evening, watching him work. Teo smiled and typed, a voice. Kale didn't understand. Not yet. Then, one night, the signal went out. Not a distress call, not a warning, not a plea, a song, soft at first. A single piano note, played from a recording found in the ruins of Vienna. Then a child's voice, singing an old lullaby. Then laughter, real, warm, echoing from a home movie of a birthday party in Nairobi. Layer by layer, the broadcast grew. Voices of the dead, voices of the living, voices of those who had never given up, and beneath it all, Earth's own heartbeat, the pulse of the soil, the rustle of leaves, the sound of rain. The message was simple: we are still here. Life is returning, and we forgive you. Across the galaxy, receivers picked it up. On Sci-Fi Prime, the High Arbiter paused mid-speech, its light flickering on the Vril hives. Scientists stopped their work, stunned by the feeling in the signal. On Concordance warships, officers sat in silence, some with tears on their faces, something they had never felt before. They had thought Earth was dead. They had thought humans were weak. They had thought emotion was a flaw. But this was not weakness. This was strength they could not measure. A kind of power that did not destroy but healed. Days later, a reply came, not from the Concordance Council, not from a general or a politician, from a child, a young alien girl from the floating city of Nixura, whose parents had evacuated Earth long ago. She recorded a message in broken English. I never knew Earth. My parents said it was gone, but I heard your song. I planted a seed in my garden. It's small, but it's green. I named it Hope. More replies came. A Carol guard admitted, I watched your prison. I thought you were mad. Now, I think, you were right. A scientist from Andromeda sent data. We studied your signal. We did not understand grief. Now we are learning. And then the most unexpected message, from High Marshal Drain, the same alien who had ordered Earth's destruction. His voice was low, his image shaky. We were wrong. We feared what we did not understand. We called your love weakness. But you crossed the stars, with no weapons, no fleet, no help, only each other. And you brought life back from silence. We ask not for forgiveness, but for a chance to learn. Kale played the message under the stars, surrounded by his people. No cheers, no anger, just quiet. Then Lyra spoke. They're not our enemies anymore. Mara nodded. Just late. Teo typed slowly. Now they see. Kale looked at the night sky full of stars, full of worlds, and for the first time, Earth was not just a memory, it was a message. He opened the combs one last time. This is Earth, he said, voice calm, strong. We are not asking for power, not demanding revenge. We are opening our door. If you want to learn how to care for a world, come, we'll show you how to plant a seed, how to wait, how to love. He turned it off, and in the silence that followed, a single bird sang, the first since the end. They thought Earth's prisoners were harmless, but they didn't know that the loudest voice in the universe is not a war cry, not a threat, not a weapon. It's a song of home, sung by those who never stopped believing, and shared with those who finally learn that to care is not weakness, it is the only thing that saves us all.